You have never seen it happen. That is the part that makes it strange when you first hear about it. You have lived with this cat for months or years, you share a bedroom, you fall asleep with them somewhere on the bed or nearby, and yet there is an entire chapter of your relationship that you have never witnessed. Not because it does not happen, because it only happens when you're asleep. Your cat has a nighttime life with you that you're not present for. Not the zoomies, not the 3 a.m. kitchen raid, not the knocking things off counters. Something quieter than all of that. A behaviour that is specifically directed at you, that occurs while you're unconscious and cannot respond, that has nothing to do with food or boredom or entertainment. A behaviour that, when people first learn about it, tends to produce a very particular reaction, something between being moved and being unsettled, because it implies a relationship that has been operating at a depth they did not know about. Here is what the research on feline nocturnal behaviour shows, and what cat owners who have set up cameras have consistently reported. Your cat checks on you while you sleep. Not once, multiple times across the night. They approach, they orient toward your face. Sometimes they pause close enough to feel your breath. Then they return to wherever they were, and they do it again later. Some cats do this every night for years without the person ever knowing. The first thing to understand is why this happens, and why it is not the behaviour of an animal that is simply restless or curious about a warm body in the dark. Cats are crepuscular animals, which means their natural activity window peaks at dawn and dusk. But domesticated cats who live closely with humans modify their sleep patterns significantly to align with the people they are bonded to. Studies on cat chronobiology show that cats in close human households spend substantially more of their active time during human waking hours than their wild counterparts would. They are synchronizing to you, and during human sleep, when the household goes still and the primary bond figure becomes horizontal and quiet and unresponsive, something activates in the cat that does not activate during ordinary waking hours. The cat begins to monitor. What is being monitored is your breathing, the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm of it, which the cat has learned across many nights, what your ordinary sleep breathing sounds like, what the pauses in it look like, what your body does when it shifts from one sleep stage to another. The cat builds a baseline model of you sleeping, the same way it builds a model of you awake, and it checks that baseline through the night. This is not interpretation or anthropomorphism. It is consistent with what we know about how bonded cats process the people they are attached to, as specific individuals whose states are continuously tracked, whose deviations from baseline register as significant. A sleeping person who is breathing normally is one kind of signal. A sleeping person whose breathing has changed, whose body temperature has shifted, who is in distress in some way, that is a different kind of signal. And the cat's nocturnal checking behaviour is the system that would catch it. There are documented cases, not urban legend, reported to veterinarians and in medical literature, of cats waking sleeping people who are having cardiac events, experiencing dangerous drops in blood sugar, having strokes. The cat's monitoring caught something that the sleeping person could not have caught themselves. This is not the cat performing heroism. It is the cat's ordinary nighttime behaviour producing an extraordinary result because the baseline was violated in a way the cat system recognised as requiring a response. Your cat has been doing this for you every night. The nights nothing was wrong, the cat checked and returned to its spot. You never knew. The nights when something might have been slightly off, a fever beginning, breathing irregular from congestion. The cat may have stayed closer, may have pressed against you, may have been the reason you half woke and adjusted position without understanding why. Your cat is reading you constantly. Your breathing patterns, your chemistry, the way your body holds itself when something has shifted. Most owners never realise how complete that monitoring is, how it continues through the hours when they are most unaware. There is a whole second layer of this relationship operating while you sleep. I put together a guide that maps exactly that layer. the signals your cat sends and receives that most people never learn to see. It is called What Your Cat is Hiding, and the link is in the description. But the nighttime behaviour has more to it than the monitoring alone. The second thing that happens while you sleep, the thing that tends to produce the strongest response when people first learn about it, is the positioning. Cats who are bonded to a person have preferred sleeping positions relative to that person that are not random. They are not simply finding the warmest spot on the bed, though warmth is a factor. The positions are chosen in ways that reflect the bond. Cats bonded to a specific person tend to sleep closest to that person's head or chest, the areas where breath and heartbeat are most perceptible. They orient their bodies toward the person rather than away. Some cats sleep facing the door when positioned near their person, behaviourally consistent with a protective orientation, the cat placing itself between the person and the room's point of entry. People who have noticed this often describe it as their cat sleeping on guard. They are not wrong about the behaviour, though the cat is not running a conscious security detail. What the cat is doing is consistent with how bonded animals position themselves relative to a vulnerable member of their social group during rest, close enough to monitor, oriented toward the primary source of concern, positioned to respond if the signal changes. You are the sleeping member of the group. The cat is the one who stayed awake, or rather, the one who wakes periodically through the night to check, and who has been doing this since the first weeks you shared a space. There is a specific quality to the nighttime checking behaviour that is worth describing, because it is not the same as the cat coming to you when you're awake and calling it. During the day, a cat that comes to you is responding to something visible. You called, you moved, you sat down in an inviting position. The approach is partly initiated by you. The nighttime checking is entirely initiated by the cat. You have done nothing. You are producing no deliberate signal. You are, from any behavioural standpoint, inert, and yet the cat comes anyway. This is the part that tends to move people when they first see it on video. Their cat crossing the bed in the dark to approach their sleeping face and pause there for a moment before returning. Nothing requested, nothing offered, nothing exchanged in any visible sense. Just the cat coming to check that you're still there, that you're still breathing, that the baseline is holding. That is what has been happening in your bedroom every night. While you were completely elsewhere in your own sleep, your cat was conducting its quiet rounds, coming to you in the dark, checking, finding you fine, returning to its spot, and doing it again a few hours later, and again before dawn, and every night, since the bond between you became real enough to produce this behaviour. The relationship you have with your cat does not pause when you fall asleep. It continues in a form you cannot participate in, one that is entirely theirs, conducted in the quiet hours, organised around your continued existence and well-being in ways you will never directly observe. There is also something worth sitting with about what this behaviour reveals about the nature of the bond itself. During the day, the relationship between a person and a cat is largely symmetrical. You see the cat sees you, you interact, you notice each other. The bond expresses itself through things you both register. But the nighttime behaviour is entirely one-sided. You are contributing nothing. You are not awake enough to be aware of being cared for. And the cat does it anyway. Not because you will notice, not because there is any reward in it, not because the behaviour produces anything for the cat beyond the information that you are fine. This is the cleanest form of the bond you will ever have evidence of. No performance, no response, no social exchange. Just the cat crossing the dark to check on you, because you are the person the cat has organised its life around, and it wants to know you are there. Most people, when they find this out, go very still for a moment, and then they want to know how many nights it has been happening. The answer is, since almost the beginning, since the bond became strong enough to produce monitoring, since you became, to this animal, someone worth checking on in the dark. There is one more layer to the nighttime behaviour that is less about monitoring and more about what the cat is doing between checks. Because the checking is not all that happens. In the hours between, cats that are bonded to a person often engage in a behaviour that has no good English word for it, a kind of proximity maintenance that is different from ordinary closeness. They do not simply sleep near you. They adjust. If you shift, they shift. If you move to a different position, they relocate to maintain the same relative distance. Not always touching, not always in contact, but continuously calibrated to you. The distance between you stays roughly constant even as both of you move through the night, because the cat is keeping it that way. This is not something the cat does with furniture. It is not something the cat does with other cats it sleeps near. It is specific to the bonded person. The calibration is organised around you, which means the cat is processing your position even while it appears to be asleep. The way certain animals maintain awareness of their group during rest, never fully disengaging from the monitoring, even in their own sleep. You have been the centre of your cat's nocturnal orientation every night. The bed you share is not a shared space that you both happen to occupy. It is a space the cat has organised around you. There is also the question of what the cat does just before you wake. People who have paid attention to this, or who have reviewed camera footage, often notice that the cat becomes more active in the minutes before the alarm, before the person stirs, before any external signal has announced that waking is imminent. The cat seems to know. It repositions, it stretches, sometimes it comes to the face or the shoulder of the sleeping person, as if to initiate the transition back into the waking relationship. What the cat is detecting is physiological. The shift from deep sleep to lighter sleep produces measurable changes in breathing pattern, in body temperature, in micro-movements. The cat has learned these signals across many mornings. It knows what your body does when you're about to wake up before you know it yourself. The cat is not predicting the future. It is reading the present with a precision that makes it appear to. The version of you that exists while you sleep is a version your cat knows intimately. Not through conversation or shared activity, through the nightly accumulation of monitoring, through the baseline of your breathing and your warmth and your movements built up across hundreds of nights. Your cat has a detailed and precise model of you asleep, what normal looks like, what changed looks like, what the transition back to waking looks like. You have never seen any of this. You were not there for it, but it happened every night, and it is still happening, and it will happen tonight. Think about that for a moment. Tonight, when you fall asleep, your cat will conduct its quiet rounds. It will come to you in the dark and pause near your face and listen to you breathe. It will find you fine and return to its spot. And a few hours later, it will come again and again before the light changes. And when your body begins the slow shift toward waking, it will know before you do, and it will be ready for you. You have been receiving this care for as long as the bond has been real. You slept through all of it, but it was there, every night, in the dark, in the quiet, in the version of this relationship that belongs entirely to the cat. Tell me in the comments, have you ever set up a camera and found out what your cat does while you sleep? Or woken in the night to find them closer than you remember them being when you fell asleep? Leave it below. Some of those stories are going to mean more to people reading them than you might expect.